Carol, the Dark Angel is an interactive comic book novel style game that would have been released for the PlayStation in 1998, and this game would have only got a release in Japan. And what's kind of unusual and yet quite unique about this type of game is the fact is that at various instances in other regions, games were being produced as part of like a comic book style series that would have been used as more so giveaways for various competitions and various entries and so forth. So this game primarily focuses around an entity known as the Dark Angel, where he is kind of like a superhuman that has incredible powers, and he ends up becoming kind of like a lone hero or secret kind of protector of the city that he is inhabiting. So the game itself tells the story through a comic book style perspective, but it has video kind of elements and tells it from a visual novel type of style. But the one thing that's apparent from this game straight off the bat, yes, it does have some unique animations that play in the background from time to time, but you also have a lot of dialogue in which you need to read to understand the story. But again, it depends on whether you can understand the Japanese language. But the game portrays itself in a comic book style where it plays through different segments, like as if you're reading through pages of a comic book, but each section of the page plays through like a different style of animation before adding in various text elements to try and tell the story. And it uses many visual cues to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. So it's typical of a real life comic book, but just in a digital sense. But the one thing that's apparent from this game compared to many other visual novel games that I have tried out on the PlayStation is the graphical style of the visuals, and even kind of like the anime and action kind of style of the graphics that are on display, as they are very reflective of the typical comic book art style. And in all honesty, the game and the visual style looks absolutely beautiful. It really looks awesome. If you're anything like me that loves comic books and that used to read along with the comic books growing up, and over the years I have become a fan of this type of style and even anime type of style of visuals. They are very unique in how they present themselves, and yet they also look realistic in their own way. And this game just looks beautiful. The way it looks, even how it tells its story, from the various dialogue boxes that appear even amongst all of the comic book strips that will show up on the screen. Now, even though you don't understand the story, again, because it's due to the language barrier, but you kind of get an idea of what's going on. And if you sit down with this, right, it's not going to be for everybody, but the thing is, if you enjoy the visual kind of prowess that the game offers, you will enjoy it for what it is, because you'll be intrigued and you'll be curious to try and find out what's going on next. And for me personally, the visual cues of the game and how good it looks and how well the art style looks, because how well it's drawn, for me that's what drew me in. So I found myself playing it and constantly going past the text dialogues to try and see the next scenes and the next intro sequences, and just to see how good the art looked. And in all honesty, the game is phenomenal for what it does represent. Now, while it does have very realistic style for the graphics and its cartoon elements, it does also present some more grown up and even adult themed elements in the story as well, so that's just something to be aware of too. So it will appeal to those people that like more kind of like action focused but yet grown up style comics as such as well. And there will be times in the game itself that you will be presented with various dialogues where you do have to make a choice. Now, it doesn't happen too often in the game, but when it does, the interactions will play out different sequences depending on those choices, but again, they will still reflect the same outcomes leading on into the story. And all in all, when you play through the entirety of this game, you will have it finished in little over an hour. But again, it all really depends on how long you spend going through all of the dialogue features and trying to understand the text. Now, for most of us, like myself, you won't understand it because you don't understand the Japanese language, but if you did, I'm sure you'll get some idea as to how the story goes. But even if you just like visual elements, like so what I do with these type of games, it is a sight to behold, because it's very beautiful looking and how everything's drawn, how everything is designed. And this is the type of style of a comics that I personally love as well. I just love the visual style of them because they're very dark, very gritty. They've got a kind of like an almost noir style vibe to it. And the fact is that this game, even with the character, the Dark Angel, where he is trying to protect the city, and the story represents itself trying to protect it from powerful overlords that are trying to destroy various elements of the city, and he has to deal with gangs that are causing mayhem and havoc throughout the city streets and trying to hurt or even kill innocent people. And it's all reflective in the story. You kind of get the idea of that the more you play it. But there's enough here to keep you engaged. But it just has a very futuristic tone, and the fact is that it is set in a fictional futuristic kind of city, and the fact is that it has an OR kind of setting really adds to the style and vibe of it. And what's even cool is the various elements too, that the game will transition into almost like a 3D kind of element where we'll play a couple of video sequences from a different point of view. So there's a lot of unique elements in this game that genuinely will keep you engaged for quite some time. Now I will admit, these type of games really aren't for everybody as such, but if you genuinely like comic books and you like engaging stories that has plenty of action and a lot of in-between elements, then this is something you can check out. Regardless of whether you can understand the language or not, you will get an idea of how everything goes with the still images, the animations, and how the story progresses. You'll know by the visual presence of each image to give you an idea of what way the story's going. And like I said, to sit down and go through all of the scenes in this, it will take you a little over an hour to experience the whole game. But even at that, it's well spent in all regards. If you just want to see something that visually looks stunning for what is on offer, and it's just, if, like I said, if you're a fan of comic books, this is another reason why you should go and check it out, for that reason alone at least. It's something that's very different, but yet definitely stands out compared to many other visual novel games that I have seen on the PlayStation. And the fact is, this one is relatively unknown to many, and it does stand out amongst the plethora of them that are out there, and it just looks really cool overall. So if you're into visual style novels, especially on the PlayStation, I would recommend that you go and check it out at least. And I would love to know your thoughts on this game, if you have seen it or if you've experienced it at all, and if so, what do you think of these visual novel style games? Do you enjoy them, or maybe not so much? So be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to be updated of future videos. And if you would like to see a full playthrough of Carol the Dark Angel, check out this next video here on screen to see more of the game in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.